right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the LNBE podcast, where LNBE stands for literally nothing but everything. I'm Mike Rispoli, and I got a reoccurring guest, my very first one. Ethan decided to drop by.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Very honored to be your first recurring guest.
No, man, I'm just happy that you stopped by. I haven't seen you since July, since the last time you were on.
What were we doing in July? Was that the Yankees game?
No, that was actually...
I think it was.
Was that?
Yeah. My first time in Yankee Stadium, I really liked going there.
No, I think that was that wasn't this past summer. I think that was the summer before it.
Okay.
Last time, I think we literally just hung out. You just came for the day.
That's right. Yeah, I just came for the day.
Yeah. But something that you have done that I have not done, because I mentioned
that's a short list.
But because I mentioned it on the pod, you brought it up to me. You have actually tried shrooms.
On multiple occasions.
What is it that you like about them? Because I want people to tell me what their experiences are, right. But it's not something that I ever think I'm going to try. So
to everybody listening, anybody that's curious about trying shrooms, I always say, obviously, talk to your doctor before if you have any medical issues. But I am always...
Look at that little PSA.
No, always be on the safe side. I have never been a big experimentation person. I didn't start drinking until I was in college. I started, I can't smoke because of my asthma, but I've done edibles. But like you know, my tolerance is very low.
Yeah.
But I wanted to try it. And I got to say, it was a beautiful experience.
But not being a big experience or experimental guy, like, what made you go, oh, yeah, that's something that I want to check out?
So I work in the food service industry. And
what? The chef brought over the wrong container?
It may be a big shock, but a lot of people use drugs in the food service industry. I know I know I'm really like the odds over here, but I would just speak with my coworkers. They had really excellent experiences, and I just tried it. It was one of those chocolate shrooms. I tried a little cube, and it was in the summer. It was a beautiful day. I just went outside. I have woods in the back of my house.
Okay.
I just spent hours in the woods just looking at everything, taking all the sights in. For me, I didn't have any hallucinations or anything like that. I didn't see any images, but everything was more defined. And I did have a lot of clarity when I was thinking, because I did some writing when I was taking the trip. But I just listened to music, and it was truly wonderful.
But clarity on what? Like clarity on what you were seeing, clarity about yourself, like introspective stuff?
Introspective, I would say. I can't recall exactly what it was because it was a few months ago, but I did write it down. And when I went back and read it, it did make a lot of sense. And I do recall just a little bit how I was so grateful I love nature. I was so grateful to grow up in the woods as a kid, but my parents developed a lot of the land. We live on like an acre and a half.
Okay. And
everybody around us, the woods is like constantly shrinking. And I think it's horrible. All the trees are getting cut down. So I made a note, like if I ever had the opportunity to buy a wonderful piece of land with woods, I would buy up several acres so nobody could touch it.
Honestly, that's very commendable, because it's funny, you watch these nature documentaries or stuff on Netflix, like whatever David Attenborough's got going on, and he's
got a great voice.
Oh, but they actually listed as fear.
What was that?
The genre, like I was watching some nature doc, I think it was like Our Planet 2 or something, like there's a series or whatever, and the genre was labeled as fear because it was about climate change.
Yes, it is. I think that's an appropriate label.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, for people who don't care, they're probably like, oh, like, whatever, it's just whatever. But it really is kind of amazing how much smaller, like, our world is becoming. And it's due to, like, Bill Burr says it best, like, population control.
Yes.
like, honestly, at what point do we look back on ourselves like, we are the problem? Like...
Do you remember that scene in The Office where they're just surrounded by people? Dwight's looking around. There's too many people. We need a new plague. I'm like, oh, he's not wrong.
Like, isn't the whole point of going to therapy just realizing what your faults are? Like,
yes.
Isn't that what somewhat of the role of government should be? Like, guys, you are the fucking issue here. Like,
we do what you want. You're the problem. Yeah. But just to wrap up the shrooms conversation, I highly, highly recommend it for everybody. To be completely transparent, I'm not a narcotics person.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never do cocaine or anything like that.
Oh, what? You don't like that pile of sugar that's just sitting in the kitchen at work?
Well, you just don't know what it's laced with, especially now.
Oh,
but
dude, fentanyl and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You couldn't pay me to touch that shit.
And yeah, I just have a fear of overdose. Do you know Len Bias?
Yeah.
I watched that documentary when I was 10, and I have PTSD from that. So, just logically thinking, if a 6'9" in this prime athlete dies, what's going to happen to me, skinny white boy?
Or then you look at a guy like Lawrence Taylor. It never affected.
And he played better. He was like, I played better when I was.
Well, yeah, when you're already fucking crazy, like you got a crazy enhancer.
Yes.
Like dude became Bobby Boucher out there.
No, but if anybody is ever thinking about it, on the fence about shrooms, I really highly recommend. I did it alone. I don't recommend doing it alone. I had a wonderful time, but just in case something goes haywire.
Well, you're also home.
Yeah, I was home, but I live with my
I'm out
mom.
in nature. My house is right there.
Yeah, but I was like, I live with my mom, so I'm not going to be like, Mom, I'm having a panic trip. Like, I would never say that.
Oh, you mean like the person who wrote it?
Yeah, just do it with a friend or do it with a significant other, but highly recommend it. It's a really wonderful time.
I don't know. I just know myself, and I know how my mind is, and I just know that trip would not go as planned.
Yeah.
I would not reach the destination I'm finding. I would be like freaking Christopher Columbus.
I'm in India. No, you're not.
Just fucking lying to people, telling them that I ended up where I wanted to go.
Yeah, I mean, you really don't know till you know. That's all speculation. But of course, I never peer pressure you into doing anything.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, especially having worked in service. I've definitely seen it. I've definitely been offered. I never accepted it just because drugs really just are not my thing. I've smoked weed, which was like honestly the hardest substance I've done. I used to drink quite a bit, but in service, like you definitely know that drug use is very prevalent because you got to think of it this way. Like a lot of people's version of going out is going to bars or going to clubs, XYZ. But then all of those guys who are working, or all those women who are working, like their nightlife is work.
Yes.
So then what do once everything is shut down? They just go out on the streets and find their fun.
Yes, exactly.
So like that, people in the service industry or whatever, just be very careful with what you're getting, with what you're trying to do. Like seriously. And honestly, I'm just going to extend this out to anybody who's involved with any sort of drugs. Like if that is what you like to do for fun, just be very careful with what you're doing and what you're getting. But like getting sketchy shit off of like some guy named Spider is not my ideal use of a fun time.
Come on, neck tattoo? He looked like a nice guy. Did you ever hear the study?
Oh, you're saying people with neck tattoos aren't nice guys?
No, I'm not saying that. Just saying it's a bit of a yellow flag, maybe. Did you ever hear the research that came out and said the true test of somebody that you can trust, will they pick you up from the airport on time? Just think about it.
I'm chronically late to everything, so on time is a bit of a stretch. But I'll pick you up.
But you still get there, right?
I'll still get. I might be an hour late because like you call me, I'm still hitting snooze. But I'll get there.
I'll get there when I get there.
Hey, you called me for this favor. Maybe that's the Greenwich in me. Like,
yeah, maybe.
At this point, you need me a little bit more than I need you. Oh my gosh, you ever like on shrooms and you're swiping through dating apps and you're just like, oh my gosh, is this the type of beast that I'm seeing, or is this what this chick looks like?
Exactly. Like, who am I actually swiping on over here?
I mean, granted, women could also be thinking the same thing when they're coming across my profile, not even under the influence.
I didn't do it. I didn't go on any social media or dating apps when I was...
Probably for the best.
Probably for the best, yeah.
I can only imagine this shit.
My trip instincts are pretty good.
No, but you're also off the dating apps too, right?
Completely off. I go through phases, like on and off, since I broke up with my long-term girlfriend about 2.5 years ago. I've been on and off with it. I've just done a lot of research, and it's really hard for both men and women. Let's just be honest. It's harder to date.
I think it's easier for women. Holy crap. There was this chick who, when I was at a bar, like actually last week, I was hanging out with one of my friends, and there was this girl who comes in, and she's just like, "Oh, I'm not really on dating apps." And then she pulls out her phone, opens up a dating app.
It's all dating apps.
She's got 1,000 people that have like liked her or something. Like she's got 1,000 notifications, and I'm just like, how the fuck do you keep up with that? Like, I'm lucky if I get one match a week or like one like a week.
Yeah, I'm like, am I the Hunchback of Notre Dame? What the fuck is wrong with me?
Like, dude, it is a totally different animal for women because I truly think because more men are on them because I mean, men are honestly like the definition of the Bills and the Lions, just desperate for a win.
Yeah.
So
it's very true.
Is it just because like I don't know, I don't want to say this and like say something totally ignorant, but is it just because women aren't in as much of like they're not on the hunt as much, like they don't really need to put, I'm not saying they don't need to put in as much effort, but they know that as long as you're attractive, you're gonna get that. Like some random person on Instagram that pops up on your feed with a giant ass, you know you're gonna like it. You have no chance of ever meeting this woman, but on the off chance, oh, maybe she'll see my like.
Well, I don't have a personal opinion on it. I just know what people that research this have said. It's...
Dude, if you're looking into dating app research...
Dude, I'm like... That's how I am.
You're trying to rig the system?
I'm like a logical, driven person. That's what I do. It's different for women in this respect. Well, because A, women have higher standards. Which makes sense because the consequences for them are greater, right?
Fair. Yeah.
So men can just pull out and hit the road, right?
Or, I mean, let's be real here. Look at the news.
Yeah.
Men can be not the greatest sometimes.
Absolutely. It's just, with women, they may get more likes, and they may get more matches, but can be an overwhelming amount of guys. You don't know who's a good guy, who's a douchebag. So guys, we're begging to get a single match, but for girls, they have this overwhelming amount. So that's why you get like the generic hey, hi. You get no personal connection. So it's difficult for both parties.
I mean, it's funny because then I'm like, as I said, I was watching nature documentaries and how they're labeled as fear, which that's
so interesting.
Dating apps are fearful in a lot of ways for multiple reasons, but it is at a certain point, dating apps kind of bring out that animalistic nature where it's just like women truly have the pick of the litter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, men can do all of these things to come off as attractive. Like, in nature, it's about if you're the strongest, you've got the most colors, like XYZ, to prove your genetic worth. But at the end of the day, it's up to the female to choose which one they want to mate with. So, in essence, like, humans still are animals in that regard because, like, men go out on the hunt, but we're ultimately at the helm of what women choose.
Women are the ultimate decider.
They are.
Growing up, my dad always called my mom the commander-in-chief of the house because she ran the house. And that's why I'm migrating away from the dating apps because at the end of the day, I think most people want to meet somebody in person, like in real life is...
But dude, how do you do that? You ever watch Superbad where it was just like, yeah, you never want to meet a chick at a bar. And then he goes on to say that like 4 of his ex-wives were met at a bar.
I don't personally take my advice from Superbad, but maybe I should. So what I'm going to do is, I'm being serious. Like, just volunteer more. I've been looking into the Best Buddies, which is what Tom Brady did, Special Olympics, that type of thing. Just to meet people in real life versus, I can't stand the virtual.
Yeah. I mean, even as a guy...
I struggle with it, personally.
I struggle with it, too, because I truly think it ultimately, too, to a degree, it is another form of social media, and I do wonder if a lot of people are on it. I mean, how many dating apps do you go through where the profile, the bio is just the person's Insta?
All the time.
So
all the time.
I do wonder if for a matter of it is a slight bit of attention-seeking where...
For
men
some
and
people.
women, like not just women, but men and women are just looking to see like how many likes they can acquire without actually like or even people trying to reach into your DMs and stuff.
Right.
Like it's no different. But I definitely think the volunteer route is a good idea. That was something on my agenda for 2025 as my own personal resolution is just to try and get not even volunteering to be a good person, but just in general, just to maybe meet somebody.
Exactly.
Because
it can be a 2-for-1. It can have multiple uses.
Exactly. So, I mean, the benefit is there is something a little bit out of it for me, but also hopefully the good news is you also put something back out into the community as well.
Exactly.
I mean, My big thing was I wanted to do an animal shelter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't want to do it right now because it's dead of winter. I'm not walking a fucking dog in 8-degree weather. I mean, it's fucking colder than a witch's tit outside.
Well, some of these facilities, some of these animal shelters have indoor facilities. So you may not know. I don't know how the local one works. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, maybe do something. Maybe I do it now. And that way it's just like, oh, you don't have to take them for walks, but you can play with them. Like, who the fuck doesn't want to play with a dog?
Yes, everybody. And that has more mental health impact for you because just petting a dog, like, reduces stress. It's incredible.
Yeah, but I mean, you can also just look at a pair of titties.
Those are a bit more, a bit harder to get.
No, that's a legit stat, though. Like, if men either see or touch titties, apparently it can decrease anxiety in one way or another. Something about it.
Where is that research? Where can I volunteer for this study group?
I'll look it up. Hang on. All right. After a quick little Google research here, I found something from Vanguard. No joke. Quote unquote. Hang on. The study, which was carried out over a period of 5 years, involves 500 men, half of whom were instructed to stare at women's breasts in a lustful manner for no less than 10 minutes every day.
Lustful manner.
The other half were instructed to abstain from doing such. Did they? I wouldn't be able to. Dude, I got a friggin' naked woman just in the room. You expect me not to look? Give me a break. It concluded that men who stared at breasts more often showed lower rates of heart problems, slower resting heart rate, and lower blood pressure, all of which enable a healthy living and long life. The study said men should stare at breasts for 10 minutes a day to improve the wellness of their hearts and live longer. But if you're gay, does that translate to man titties? Like,
so, ladies, if you catch me gawking, it's not because I'm a creep. It's because I value my health. It's for my health.
What, I'm not allowed to live longer?
Come on.
I mean, the research says I should.
It's a science. Can't debate the science.
So
we are not science deniers over here. No way.
Dude, honestly, you could run on for president on that.
Climate
Everybody
change.
stare at titties.
Climate change and titty staring.
Oh, man. All right, but wait, in other news, how excited are you that the Patriots hired Mike Vrabel to be their head coach?
Not only am I ecstatic that they hire Mike Vrabel, who's a highly intelligent guy, has had success in the league, they didn't waste any time. They didn't interview this coordinator, that coordinator.
They did interview a couple guys, but
right away, the season's still going on.
Yeah, I mean, they interviewed a couple guys, but honestly, there's a little bit of controversy with it because I think they did it just to adhere to the Rooney Rule.
Oh, you're talking about the other.
Yeah, there were a couple
interviews.
there were a couple coordinators that they hired who were minority, and it was literally just due to the Rooney Rule.
But at the end of the day, I think they got the right guy. He's a culture builder.
Absolutely.
We got to be completely objective on this. Mm-hmm. The culture, when Bill Belichick left, he's the greatest coach of all time. It was a bit in shambles.
Oh, yeah.
And now I think Mike Vrabel will repair that for sure.
Part of that makes me wonder, like, how much of that was Bill and how much of that was just Mac Jones being Mac Jones? Like Mac Crybaby Jones?
Yeah, Mac can't play. I think we're seeing that now.
I still swear to God, I think I could throw a ball farther than that guy could.
This summer, we're going to do that experiment.
All right, we'll test it.
Just going to do 50 curls a day. Just pump up your arm.
No, it's not even just a matter of, like, building up. It's all in the hips.
You got to do the TB12 method. You got to be completely dedicated for 6 months.
No, but seriously, I think it's more about the mechanics than it is your strength. I mean, strength comes into a part of it, but it's a lot same with golf. Like, you could be the biggest guy, but if your mechanics aren't good, that ball's going nowhere. So, yeah, exactly. I mean, look at Baker Mayfield in comparison to Josh Allen. Josh Allen is, 6'5", 230?
Yep.
Like, the dude's a beast. Look at Baker. He's like, 6 foot?
6'1", yeah.
And he's like 210? And Baker throws a 60-yard ball.
Yeah, I mean, all these guys got cannons, but just circling back to Belichick, I think he was a victim of hubris. I mean, Brady left because of Bill, and we know about
I think it was a little bit more than that. I think it was a matter of also, because Brady, I think, wanted to stay because he loved the Kraft family. That's also because Brady wasn't the one giving Kraft a massage. Ayo.
Yeah. Can I just say Robert Kraft has the best PR team in the entire world?
Well, even in the roast, Jeff Ross makes a joke, don't talk about that.
And Brady went right up right away, so you know that's the line.
something happened.
You can talk about my ex-wife all you want, but not Robert Kraft's sex ring.
I don't know, man. There's something happened with that, but
he was a great owner.
But no, I think there was other things with that because it wasn't just the Brady Belichick thing. I think it was also Brady wanted to stay, but Brady just didn't have the weapons, and Belichick is a notoriously bad drafter.
Horrible.
So I think at the end of the day, it also came down to the cash that Brady knew he was worth, and Brady was like, "Yo, if you're not gonna pay me, at least get me a guy who you're willing to pay to help, like, get me a weapon here." And Belichick was just like, "Well, no, I don't want to pay you," because at that point, it's also like, well, you've been taking cuts. Why now all of a sudden do you want to get paid? And it's like, I don't know, maybe because I won you fucking 6 rings here, buddy. Like,
yeah, exactly. And you're right. A lot of factors. Belichick was upset with the Garoppolo trade because Kraft got involved, and that was Brady. Mm-hmm. Brady wanted Garoppolo out. In hindsight, Brady was right. Yeah. Because Garoppolo's not that good.
No, he's not.
But I'm just really looking forward to a new era, new blood, and I think Mike Vrabel's going to do a great job.
Vrabel brings the Tennessee Titans, made them the number 1 seed with Ryan Tannehill at the helm. I mean, granted, you also have prime Derrick Henry, but you also had A.J. Brown. That offense freaking Ryan Tannehill, it was looking like a bust on Miami. He goes over to the Titans, better coaching, and all of a sudden now he's making a Pro Bowl.
In the AFC too, like the Bills with Josh Allen, the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes.
Well, at that point,
that's
also,
a feat.
Josh Allen technically wasn't Josh Allen because everybody slept on him.
Yeah, he was pretty young.
His first season, he threw 56% of his passes, and people are just like, "Oh, this guy's not going to pan out." But then you look at a guy like Trevor Lawrence, who throws the most amount of interceptions, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, like Peyton Manning also had a shit ton of interceptions his rookie season. Like, let's see how this pans out." Yep. And Trevor Lawrence, you can admit to this. I told you this when he came in.
Yeah.
Everybody said, "Oh, it's like the Peyton Manning effect." I was like, "No, he's not going to pan out."
Mike has been on the Trevor Lawrence sucks bandwagon for several years, and just because he was so dominant in college, he's a historically great college
he went number 1 overall for a reason.
And he's got all the physical tools, but you're right, he is just not produced.
Look, I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. There are quarterbacks that I would not take.
Top 15.
He's top 15, but that's mid. There's only 32 teams in the league.
And they just signed him $200 million fully guaranteed.
They're going to rename his stadium after this guy.
They're just so desperate. They're like, please, anyone who's somewhat decent.
No, I think Trevor is a good talent. I just don't think he's A+ caliber level. I don't think he's worth the $230 million contract.
No way.
There are worse things. Deshaun
Watson, easily the worst situation in the league.
Honestly, probably one of the biggest falls from graces I've ever seen, besides Antonio Brown.
A video surfaced of him his rookie year. He's like giving out his checks to the lunch ladies, like he's this community-oriented guy, and then boom, 25 women.
No, he wasn't handing them checks because he was a great guy. He was handing them checks to be fucking quiet.
No. They were lunch ladies, Mike. They're not.
Oh, you think he...
No, it's legit.
You think his dick has any bounds? Like,
it's legit.
That motherfucker?
It's legit.
I hate this fucking guy.
I know.
I really do.
I don't know why he's still allowed to play. That's outrageous.
Because the Browns do what the fucking Browns do.
No, that's the league. That comes down to the league's decision. You have this predator on the field, and that's disgraceful.
I'm so happy. Honestly, I'm just going to come out and say I'm so glad that this guy's not playing in 2025. Because somehow, somewhere... I saw something that he suffered an ACL injury. I don't know if this was like during the season, but it just came out like a week ago. And I'm just like, oh, great. I don't have to see this fucking guy in 2025. I'm happy to do it. People getting pissed off that the fans were cheering when he went down. What the fuck else do you expect him to do? The guy sucks. He's a fucking rapist.
Yes.
Why is he allowed to touch a fucking field? Why is he allowed to be 100 yards within a fucking stadium? Every fucking stadium should have a restraining order on this guy.
It's disgraceful. And then Tom Brady is relatively aware that the balls are deflated, and that's like a media circus. He went to the court. It's unbelievable. Yeah. The NFL has always had disciplinary problems, but this is like top of the case.
Make it make sense. Ray Rice gets into trouble for beating the shit out of his girlfriend in an elevator. Cold. But then she comes out and says, "Oh, no, it's okay, whatever," which it's not okay. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. But the league still ousted him. Like, that never even went to trial. Like, nothing happened. But the league themselves were like, we're not dealing with this. Meanwhile, Deshaun Watson, how fucking Bill Cosby of the NFL.
The Bill Cosby of the NFL.
And the Browns are just like, 265 up front.
Guaranteed. Yeah.
No, I think, what?
No, it's a fully guaranteed contract.
Is it fully guaranteed?
Yep. So what happened was, when they traded him from the Texans, they ripped up his Texans contract, gave him a brand new deal, fully guaranteed, and it totally upended the.
Why?
Contracts.
Because they knew that he would need money to pay out these women. Like, Jesus Christ.
Because Jimmy Haslam's the worst owner in NFL football. Now that Dan Snyder's gone, easily the worst owner.
Oh my God.
And I feel bad because Browns fans, they love their team, they love football, and now they have to suffer through this terrible time.
And Baker's killing it. Like, how does that make you look? You signed this fucking guy to X amount of money to not even play 2 full seasons. He's played 1 season and 2 seasons because he's only played 8 games every year that he's been on this fucking team.
Yeah, and can't play anymore.
And he can't play anymore. Meanwhile, Baker's down in Tampa making the playoffs. Killing it.
Back-to-back years.
It's unreal. I'll take Baker over Trevor Lawrence right now. I would take Baker over Deshaun Watson. That's for damn sure.
You take some backups over Deshaun Watson, for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would definitely take Joe Flacco over Deshaun Watson.
Even though he's 41.
I don't care. He still has a cannon.
Still has a cannon.
Hey, he brought the Browns to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. That was the whole reason they had to get rid of him. Because that was a quarterback controversy.
Besides the fans, I really feel for Kevin Stefanski because he's really an elite coach.
I agree.
And now he's like, what do I have to work?
Yeah. I feel bad.
But he's going to get blamed. He's going to get fired. Right. Even though it's Jimmy Haslam who wanted this trade, wanted this contract, even though they traded for him and signed him to that contract when they knew these allegations were coming out. Just a horrible, horrible owner.
I just can't. Your name is the Browns. You have a shitty name. It makes sense that you guys
get a logo, man.
Another guy I think should be fired, just to kind of deviate off of this. I still think Sean McDermott should be fired. Dude, we were watching that game today. You're up by 3 scores in the 4th quarter. You still got Josh Allen playing, and you throwing the ball. You got 5 minutes left taking hits. Why are you making this guy throw the ball? You got a big game coming up next week. The fuck? This is why Sean McDermott. You could say he's a great coach. He's made the playoffs. Hasn't beaten the Chiefs in the playoffs. He's kind of like Andy Reid on the Eagles. He just can't get over that hump. But
Andy Reid went to 5 straight NFC championships with Donovan McNabb.
True.
That's elite, but I understand where you're coming from. And it's not his quarterback. His quarterback's one of the best in the league.
Exactly.
It's him. It's his defense that collapses.
But it's shit like that where I'm just like, why are you not just running the ball? You got James Cook, who's already got... He almost had... I think they scrambled for 182 yards at that point in the game. Mm-hmm. You got James Cook, I think he's a top running back right now. Why wouldn't you just run out the ball, eat up the clock, make the team use their timeouts? You're down 3 scores.
They're not coming back.
There's no way.
I completely agree.
And not to totally deviate, but it reminds me, because we were also talking about this earlier, it's like, how many guys, because we're talking about Mike Tomlin and if the Steelers should move off of him. How do you move off of a guy that's had, 15 straight or
winning seasons?
Never had a losing season.
He's gone 8-8 a few times.
And, I mean, there's a couple games, the last couple seasons, I mean, you're playing Mitch Trubisky. You still get over 500 wins.
Kenny Pickett.
Like, how do you move off of that? And I just don't think that Mike Tomlin is actually the problem. And you could argue, he doesn't really have the postseason success. It's like, how many Super Bowls would the Steelers have won with Big Ben? Or how many Super Bowls would Peyton Manning have won if Brady was not in the league? Because Brady ruined a lot. Like, he cut a lot of playoff appearances short.
It's like Tiger Woods in golf or Michael Jordan in basketball.
Yeah.
Charles Barkley would have a ring. Karl Malone would have a ring if it weren't for Michael Jordan. So, yeah, Tom Brady has that effect.
Reggie Miller probably have a ring.
Reggie Miller, for sure.
I mean, Reggie Miller, probably the greatest player of all time without a ring in the NBA.
No, it's got to be Charles Barkley. He has an MVP, so, yeah.
Reggie doesn't have an MVP? Oh, then never mind. I retract that. I know nothing about NBA ball, so there's that. I am looking forward to the Patriots, though, moving on to next season. We got our guy. We got our coach. It's just going to depend on who they get for OC and DC.
But those are the building blocks. That's the foundation.
T. Higgins coming off of free agency. Yeah. Hopefully, I mean, the Patriots got a lot of cap money they can use. Pay a guy. Build your O-line with the draft. See what happens. I thought it was going to be at least 10 years before the Pats were back in it, but we get a decent wide receiver. We fix this O-line. We get some competent coaches. We'll be back in it within the next 3.
Yeah, easy. I'm very optimistic.
All right, and with that little note of optimism, thanks for popping by, Ethan. I really appreciated you coming on. Always a pleasure seeing you.
Thank you for having me, Mike. And I know this is going to be episode 52, and I just want to say how proud I am of you for sticking through this. I'm very proud to be your friend.
I got to be honest. I was not expecting that, but thanks, man. I also appreciate being your friend, too. All right, guys. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you guys enjoyed it, please share it with a friend. Like, comment, subscribe. You guys know the deal. If you want to reach out, feel free to send me an email at lmdemedia@gmail.com, and I will see you guys next Tuesday.